mercy, wants us to go to Jannah. He wants us to visit Him. And He invited us to His house. And it's amazing if you think about how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so merciful. He's even feeding the non-believers as well. And what does it say about us? We're not thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as much as we should. And now, inshallah, I want to get to the next part of of the halaqah, where I want to give specific examples of people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised Jannah. And there was a reason that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised Jannah to these people, because they were the best of the best. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran the wife of Fir'aun. And the wife of Fir'aun is one of the best women who ever walked the entire world. She is Asiya. She is one of the greatest people. And just to briefly recap her story, she's the one who saw Musa manage to go to his little submarine or whatever, pop up at the Pharaoh's palace, okay? And it takes she takes him, and she already has the insight and says, if Pharaoh wants to kill him, it's like, oh, a little grandkid, I'll get rid of little grand people, and he's like, no, this little baby is beautiful, he is the comfort of my eyes. She knew already that this guy was special, despite the fact that he was of the Bani Israel. And she took him, and when Musa alayhi salam left, and then he became a prophet, and he came back, he converted his foster mother. And Pharaoh got upset and furious at that. And he threatened to kill her. And you know what her response is? Her response is written in the Quran. And you can imagine, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrote the Quran, but He inspired her to say a dua for all of eternity, just because of her selfless action. So he said, وَابْنِي لِي عِنْدَكَ بَيْتًا فِي الْجَنَّةِ وَنَجِّنِي مِنْ فِرْعَوْنَ وَعَمَلِهِ وَنَجِّنِي قَوْمَ الظَّالِمِينَ, which means she knows she's about to die. And you know what she says? She makes with her dua, Allah, give me a house next to you in Jannah. I want to be with you in Jannah. Give me a house next to you in the highest level of Jannah. And obviously, if it's written in the Quran, it must have been accepted, right? So, and she said, get me away from Fir'aun and the wrongdoers, and give me a house next to you. And this is amazing, she is the queen of, the living goddess, you could say. She could do anything and people would obey. She had all the luxuries in the world, but she still chose Akhirah over this. And she had the intelligence and the mindset to understand that this world is so temporary. And it's amazing how quickly she recognized that. And if you look at the people who Musa alayhi salam, like the sorcerers, when they challenged Musa alayhi salam, they mocked him by wearing his clothes, very shabby clothes, and they started using his staff and stuff just to make fun of him. But they actually were following the sunnah of the Prophet. And through this way, when Musa alayhi salam got his cobra to swallow everything, they knew that he was the Prophet, and they bowed down in sujood. And Pharaoh said, I didn't allow you to bow down in sujood. Why are you doing this? Are you in leagues with him? And then he said, I will kill you. I will crucify you if you do this. And then they still said, we don't care. We believe in Rabbi Harun, Musa Harun. We believe in the God of Musa, the God of Harun. There are Muslims for a split second before they died. A split second, but they had perfect iman. I know that's why these guys are going to Jannah. And all of us, myself, born Muslim, but didn't do much with it, didn't amount to much with anything. Compared to these people who were split second Muslims, but they had the perfect understanding of the faith. And now I want to move on to my next story, inshallah. There's another really good one about someone who is promised Jannah. So Prophet Musa alayhi salam, he made dua one time to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he said, Ya Allah, I want to know who is my companion in Jannah. Who will be next to me in Jannah? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if you go to this one town, you're going to find a butcher who will be the good kind of butcher, cuts meat, not like psychopathic killer. It's not quite about it, okay? So Musa's surprised. And he's thinking, a butcher? Okay, check this guy out. So he goes and he meets this butcher, and then he asks him, may I please stay in your house? And you just want to, just talk with him and stuff. Butcher said, okay, I'll please come in. And before he fed Prophet Musa, before he fed himself, he took this crumb, he took his morsels, and he started feeding it to this old lady. And she could barely, move her mouth and everything. So he had to put her really close and help her. and he had to wipe his mouth, wipe her mouth, okay? And like just take care of her. And then she whispered something to the butcher. And Musa alayhi salam couldn't hear. And then the butcher, he started smiling when he heard that. And then Musa alayhi salam said, what is this lady to you? What is your relationship? And he said, she's my mother. And he said, then what did she say to make you laugh? And then he said, every day I take care of my mother. Every day I make sure that she's completely, fed, clothed, bathed, everything. And, she says that I made dua for you, that you're going to be the companion of Musa in Jannah. And then I laughed at that and said, how could I be that? Because Musa is way bigger than me and I'm just a little butcher. And then Musa alayhi salam said, spoiler alert, actually you are my companion. And it's like, okay, so it's amazing, this person, he was a very mundane person, okay? He didn't you cured cancer, and didn't win a Nobel Prize. All he did was just take care of the person who took care of him when he was a kid. That's all he did. It's amazing. This person who sacrificed his entire life just to take care of his mother. Like I said, paradise is under the feet of the mother. Don't try that actually, because I tried doing that. I'm like, oh, what's here? As a kid, I'm like, hey, what's going on? Let's say that. So I'm like, and then inshallah, there's another person as well. I know I'm just kind of doing fragmented stories, but I think inshallah that helps people speak. I don't want to speak it too long. And another story I want to tell is about the Prophet ﷺ. He had a companion, and his name was Suhaib the Roman. And Suhaib was an amazing person. And the thing is, he was actually from the Byzantine Empire. And he lived as a slave there until he had a jailbreak. And he just got a prison break or whatever. So he gets out of there. And then he goes back to Arabia to where it's home of his family and everything. And he eventually becomes a merchant. And the thing about him is that if you look at him, his hair is not black or brown, or his skin is not brown like the other people. It's white and he has blondish hair. He's like James Bond, like the Daniel Craig version, okay, the Sahaba, okay? Basically, looks nothing like the other people. And he had so much iman. He was a very early Muslim. And when the Prophet ﷺ and his companions were migrating to Medina, he was the one who was really caught up because he was a really wealthy businessman. So they put him under house arrest. And because he was really wealthy, they wanted to keep him there for a while. And so one night during the night, he slipped out during the night, and he took his bow with him and just went on a horse and ran all the way to Medina. And then there was just a couple of kuffar that came chasing after him. So then Suhaib, he told them, if you guys chase after me, just let you know I'm a really good archer, and I'm going to do a headshot, okay? And then I'm going to kill someone, okay? And even if you guys get me, I'm going to take at least one of you or maybe both of you out. So I got a better idea. How about I tell you where I hid my money, and you take that, and you never saw me, okay? And then the kuffar said, we like dunya, we get money, we're cowards, like that. So okay, fine, so because that's all they are about, man, it's chasing after the money, that's all they cared about. So then they just went all the way back, and Suhaib just on his own, going by himself, all the way to Medina, by himself, several days worth of journey, okay? And then when he reaches Medina, he sees the Prophet ﷺ waiting for him. And then he said, good trade, Suhaib, good trade. Good trade, he said 3 times. And then Suhaib's really shocked. And then he said, what do you mean, good trade? And he says, the Prophet, I know a lot of stuff. You don't mess with the Prophet, man. He knows a lot of things. So Allah SWT gave him, the knowledge of what happened. And this was it gets even better. Because Suhaib, although indirectly referenced, he is referenced in the Quran, in Surah Baqarah. And shall I read the ayah? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يَشْرِي نَفْسَهُ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ رَءُوفٌ بِالْعِبَادِ. Which basically means, and from among the mankind, there's a type of person who sold his nafs, who traded everything, all his desires, for the sake of Allah, for Allah's happiness. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very pleased with his servant. And this was after a person who is just like, for one thing, he's forever remembered in the Quran. And one thing I just want to really iterate, for all our convert brothers and sisters and everything, that this person was not of the Arabs. He was totally different. Looks totally different than anyone. But he is still Ashab al-Jannah. Because it doesn't matter, you don't have to be an Arab, you don't have to be a Pakistani, you don't have to be whatever, to go to Jannah. You have to be, a good Muslim. And, you have to just make sure, you have the right priorities of deen in your heart. And, that's what's going to make people go into Jannah, inshallah. And, to think about one thing, I just want to really mention, I totally forgot to mention this earlier, but like I was mentioning before, how the people of Jannah are the ones who pray, the ones who do zakat, the ones who do all these things. I want to talk about the people of Jahannam. And the people of Jahannam, are a very miserable lot. And the people of Jannah, it's mentioned in the Quran a dialogue between the people of Jannah and the people of Jahannam. So the people of Jannah are going to say, hey Bob, now that, everything's done, just, how'd you get there? How are you in hell? مَا سَلَكَكُمْ فِي سَقَرَ? How did you end up in the hellfire? And then these guys are gonna, it's amazing. They say, قَالُوا لَمْ نَكُ مِنَ الْمُصَلِّينَ وَلَمْ نَكُ نُطْعِمُ الْمِسْكِينَ وَكُنَّا نَخُوضُ مَعَ الْخَائِضِينَ وَكُنَّا نُكَذِّبُ بِيَوْمِ الدِّينِ. And you know what it means? It says, قَالُوا لَمْ نَكُ مِنَ الْمُصَلِّينَ. We weren't of the people who prayed. Now, let's remember Surah Mu'minun. What's the number one attribute of the people of Jannah? Say it all out, everyone. Salat. So what's the number one attribute that the people of Jahannam say how they got there? It was Salat. Don't you see that's the most important thing? And then, قَالُوا لَمْ نَكُنْ مُصَلِّينَ وَلَمْ نَكُنْ نُطْعِمُ الْمِسْكِينَ. We didn't give anything to the poor people. What does it say in Surah Mu'minun? وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِزَكَاةِ فَاعِلُونَ. And then it says, وَكُنَّا نَخُوضُ مَعَ الْخَائِضِينَ. We really indulge in vain talk. What does it say in Surah Mu'minun? وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. The one who don't engage in vain talk. So you can clearly see there's a difference. You can clearly see that between good and bad, it's not equal. You can't just, you can't put a serial killer with a good person, and they can't run from the same path. It's not fair. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is justice, and He's going to catch us on our bad deeds. He's going to catch us on our sins, and this is why Muslims, they're really careful in their dealings with other people. It says that if a Muslim commits a sin, he's going to, even if it's a really, really minuscule sin, he's going to feel as if the weight of Mount Uhud is on his shoulders. He's going to feel as if he has a noose strangled around his neck. He's going to be thinking, Ya Allah, I know you're a Ghaffar, but are you going to forgive me? He has so much concern. The person who is kafir, the person who doesn't care, you know what he's going to say? It's going to be like if he shrugged off a mosquito bite. Okay? Mosquito bites can be nasty, like in Pakistan, man, they just keep coming at you, and it's like, you keep hitting yourself after a while, man, and then you're like, oh man, it's pretty terrible. It gets on your food, and you're like, oh, it makes the flavor better, whatever, and that's just the way it is. And inshallah, I'm going to wrap up soon, but I just want to mention some really brief things, inshallah, just from Surah Insan, about there's more qualities about who the people are the people going to Jannah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the people going to Jannah are the ones who are وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. The ones who, out of their love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they feed the hungry, they feed the orphans, they feed the captives of war. And the reason why it says captives of war is because during the times of Arabia, they had if you were captured in war and you were a prisoner, they wouldn't feed you. So it's not Chef Jar Pile's lovely bologna sandwich or whatever like that. You know, you gotta scrap it on your own, so you have to like walk